Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Good and Bad of the Week audio podcast on this lovely Sunday with me, Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me. You can't see him, but hearing him is probably the best thing that could ever happen to you. It's NJ.
What's up?
What's up, NJ? What's up to you guys out there listening to this podcast? You can't see us, of course, but you can hear our voices. Make sure you guys subscribe up above, of course. Comment this video and like this video also. We are the British Fist, of course.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching indeed, and you might already know that I'm Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me is NJ.
What's
I know
up?
we did it twice, but I wanted to hear you say what's up, NJ.
And please make sure you contact us in the links in the description box below.
Indeedly doodly. Right then, so we had this Night of Champions pay-per-view on Sunday, and it wasn't the best pay-per-view, and we really needed WWE, in my opinion, to come out and really set the ball rolling in terms of their next pay-per-view, which was only 2 weeks away, didn't we? And I don't really feel we got that this week at all.
Sadly not. They disappointed both Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, it really wasn't a good week in wrestling this week, was it? So this is probably going to be one of the most negative Good and Bad of the Week podcasts we've ever done. So should we just get started on this, NJ?
We will, and try to enjoy it.
So NJ, we start off Raw this week with none other than the man who can drop a pipe bomb whenever he wants, CM Punk, which I guess made sense after all that crap, that overbooking that happened at the Night of Champions main event, to be honest.
Yeah, CM Punk had a big problem with this, and he was blaming people here and there. And this brings up Triple H.
Of course, because he is the COO, so...
Yeah, because obviously he had a problem with Night of Champions, so I guess him coming up to Punk to explain what actually happened was good.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this is you've just had Triple H and CM Punk have a feud in which no heel or face was established, which meant that it was very hard for the crowd to get behind one of them, or it was really hard for the crowd to get behind who they wanted to cheer for. And now all of a sudden, after they feuded, this kind of like John Laurinaitis comes down. It's kind of like these two are on like the same page all of a sudden. It's like they have the same power struggle. And because John Laurinaitis comes out, and we're thinking, why the fuck is this guy even on TV?
He had no point really getting involved in this. Yeah, he had that whole involvement at Night of Champions, but to be honest, they're all building up to something with Laurinaitis getting involved with Triple H and CM Punk.
Yeah, Triple H at the end of this opening segment says that he's going to get to the bottom of it and that someone will be fine, reminiscent of a Vincent Kennedy McMahon, eh?
It was, and the thing about this is that, yeah, the whole firing thing is getting us wondering who's it going to be, but there's the whole announcement that's going to put Hell in a Cell, which I think, with CM Punk, I guess it is keeping him busy while they're cutting these new ideas. So
that's the way they're going to do it, isn't it? They're going to have a triple threat between Del Rio, Cena, and Punk at the Hell in a Cell. And it seems to me, like you said, that WWE are trying to just, put CM Punk in there so they've got 2 weeks of hyping up something else, then it can involve CM Punk at a later stage. It just seems like WWE's way of getting him involved in something while having Triple H work on something else that will come back to him at a later time.
We will, I think, yeah. So the opener wasn't hugely great overall, but obviously it set a match for Night of Champions and basically what is going to happen later in the night.
Basically just tries to continue the story from Night of Champions in what is potentially WWE's biggest storyline at the moment. So
yeah, so they did try to do that.
Yes. After that, we got an 8-man tag match. Now, we had Sheamus, Justin Gabriel, Air Boom versus Christian, Barrett, Atunga, and McGillicuddy. And, when you've just had, you just remember we had a Sheamus Christian promo at the pay-per-view, which we don't really want to see promos at a pay-per-view. And then after that, you reinforce that, and with your tag champions, by putting them all in one fucking segment. And it's like, why can't Air Boom, as the tag champs, have their own segment to reinforce the fact they're tag team champions? And Christian and Sheamus should have their own separate segment, probably on SmackDown, if you're going to build up a feud between the two. And this was one huge fucking clusterfuck.
Like, the way I see this could have been done, just from the top of my head from looking at it, Air Boom could have had a singles match against Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy. Maybe had Sheamus...
Save it for SmackDown. Sheamus versus Barrett or something.
Yeah, and then Christian versus...
who knows?
Justin Gabriel.
Could have worked.
It could have worked. We could have many single matches like that 8-man, but sadly it didn't look like we got that. We got this horrible match instead.
And this whole segment, despite the fact it went on for 4.5 minutes, it was basically all about promoting Sheamus versus Christian. And when you've got your tag team champions in this segment, you kind of want them to be showcased as well, but they were kind of just put to the back. And this is why I don't like this whole 8-man tag thing, because you're going to be putting you're going to be putting someone to the back of the line, aren't you, with the tag champs? And just seeing like all the emphasis is on Sheamus getting this big win rather than the tag champs, who just defended their title at the fucking pay-per-view, for God's sake. And Sheamus wasn't on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's numerous people in that match that actually needed to have wins, need to look good and start progressing their career. But they did concentrate a lot on Christian Sheamus, like you said. Yeah.
I guess they're kind of trying to promote Sheamus as this big baby face, but I just think this could have been done totally differently just by having them in separate segments and putting maybe one of those segments on SmackDown rather than on Raw.
Would have been an idea for Raw to spread their matches out more instead of having more than one feud in one match.
Yeah, and instead of having all the filler which we got, which was here later in the night. Next we had Alberto Del Rio versus John Morrison in a 10-minute match, an epic clap. No, it was a 1-minute squash.
Oh yes.
Firstly, we saw this match on Raw about a month ago. Secondly, I don't mind. I don't know about you, NJ, but I don't mind WWE using matches, squash matches, but use jobbers in those squash matches. If you're going to use squash matches to look Del Rio, make Del Rio look better, and believe me, he fucking needs it right now after that Night of Champions bollocks, then use a jobber. Don't use John Morrison. Come on.
Well, the way I see with this is that John Morrison is, as we all know him now, is Mr. Buried Alive. So I think for him to get buried even more, for him to get squashed by Del Rio, to be honest, the way Del Rio is treating John Morrison, I couldn't really care. Until they actually do try and make him convincible that he's going to be a good wrestler and get somewhere, then this match was okay.
John Morrison had so much momentum at the start of the year, and now he's now he's just Mr. Buried Alive, and it's just why did they have him in that US title match if he's just going to come to Raw and then get buried by Del Rio in 1 minute? It's just like really just reeked of stupidity, really. Even though it kind of did make sense, the segment.
It definitely wasn't a good part of Raw at all.
No, and then it didn't get much better though, did it? Because next we had a segment for our guest host of the night, Hugh Jackman. Yay! Hooray for guest hosts, which waste precious pay-per-view time, which we only have 1 in 2 weeks. Yay!
I would celebrate, but my big problem about this is that Hugh Jackman didn't really do anything for the Raw show itself.
Yeah.
He just came and got involved with the US champion.
I mean, to be honest, one thing I will say though, he talks about his movie a bit, but one thing I will say is at least he kind of looked like he wanted to be there. It's just I don't like the fact that they're wasting a segment on the guest host, and it's not really to do anything. It's to hype a match that happens later on in the night, which we really didn't like. Basically, you have Vicky and Dolph Ziggler come out, and then you might as well call them Vicky and Dolph Ziggler. They might fight out like they're fucking married. And it's like, why does a US champion have to be involved with a guest host when we're 2 weeks away from a pay-per-view? And then this whole segment was done to set up Dolph Ziggler versus Zack Ryder later on in the night. And it's like, fucking hell, really?
Of all the people that you could have Dolph against, you pick someone that, like, the British fans especially, don't want to see. So I think for Hugh Jackman to actually bring this match in, I just thought it really sucked.
Especially after he's just defended his title against 3 other people at the pay-per-view. You'd think the logic would say that one of those guys in there would face him, but no. Unless this is filler, which I feel it is, then I don't know. We'll just move on to the next segment because I hate these guest host segments. They waste so much precious pay-per-view hype time here. The next match we had, well, we thought it would be a match: Sin Cara versus Cody Rhodes. Thoughts on this epic 10-minute encounter?
Oh,
which didn't happen.
No.
Oh, fucking hell. The other Sin Cara comes out, and then you kind of get into this realization that Daniel Bryan and Cody Rhodes are being used as filler for Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. Wow.
And what I want to say about this is that the match really didn't kick off.
It didn't happen, did it?
No.
Never happened.
Even though the positive side about that is that I wouldn't really want to see Sin Cara Cody Rhodes, because one, Sin Cara's still in this growing thing in the WWE, and Cody Rhodes is the IC champ, so one of them would have had to get buried.
He gets buried later on SmackDown, but we'll close that later. The other Sin Cara comes out, they have a stare down, they have a bit of a fight. I really don't like the fact they've made them touch each other now before a potential pay-per-view match. The reason I didn't like the segment was because your Intercontinental Champion, Cody Rhodes, who's been booked quite well lately, is just cut to one side in favour of Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. It just really pisses me off.
Yeah, it hasn't really done good for the Sin Caras. Well, I know they want to go down that route, but they're not going down the route correctly.
Yeah. Do you want to do the backstage segment with Truth and Miz? Apologizing to Triple H, the COO of the WWE?
Yeah, the thing about this segment is that you can honestly tell that Awesome Truth weren't actually meaning this. They
Of
were
course.
just saying it just to give Triple H a feeling of annoyance and that, which obviously is uh, WWE's way of keeping Miz and R-Truth heels in the WWE.
Yeah, and basically Triple H announces Miz and Truth versus Punk and Cena in the main event of the evening. And then we get to a Mark Henry interview segment where Mr. JR himself, is interviewing Mark Henry, and he's talking about they announced that it's going to be Orton versus Henry at Hell in a Cell, and they announce they talk about his naysayers and how Henry wasn't high on JR's list, and then he starts attacking JR and Jerry the King fucking Lawler right after he's just won the title. It's really underwhelming when he's just gone through Orton and now he's attacking commentators. even though I thought the segment was quite effective.
The only positive thing I'll say about this is that obviously the WWE are running out of ideas for what they could do with Orton unless we get to SmackDown. But on Raw, I think it was just giving TV time and give him some dominance, like, oh, I don't care who gets hurt.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
and he actually did legitimately injure Jerry the King Lawler. Apparently they had a bit of a dispute as to whether he would put him through the table, and the table wasn't gimmicked to break, so he actually injured Jerry the King Lawler during this segment. But I guess it was effective in the sense that it got over Mark Henry's title win. It got over the fact that he's going to be dominant, but attacking commentators, really, come on.
I know, it weren't the best thing for Mark Henry to do. You could have either had him in another match of some sort against wrestlers that don't really count in the WWE, but this was something different, and it still goes to the whole Mark Henry's heel gimmick.
Yep. Next we have Kelly and Eve versus Beth Phoenix and Natalia. Seen it, done it. Eve gets the pin. Was there really much point in this match?
No, and obviously the Divas are doing still on this whole growing thing in WWE, and they just keep losing. It's not really doing anything for this whole Divas of Doom taking up the other Divas.
You've got to reinforce this dominance, this supposed booking of dominance with wins. They're just not getting it, but whatever. They could have pinned Eve Torres and got a win there, but whatever. Have Eve get the pin for some reason. We then get our match, which was hyped up using a pointless segment earlier on. Zack Ryder versus Dolph Ziggler. And for us, this was a very painful match to watch. Because Ryder beats Dolph Ziggler in 3 minutes. And it's like you use that segment to hype up for a 3-minute match, which potentially means nothing because we know these two aren't going to be in a feud. And if they are, I fucking don't want to be part of it.
The biggest whole thing about this is that you've had the US champion who obviously is hoping to be a long-term US champion and do good with the belt. Even though it was the advantage of Hugh Jackman, you've had him lose to someone like Ryder. It was just horrible. It was
total bullshit, really, but, whatever. If WWE go with this as a feud, I'll be pissed off. But I suppose if this is filler, then, it's typical Raw filler stuff. So should we just move on to the main event? I really didn't like that segment at all. Anything to do with Ryder really just sucked, but there we go. The main event for this evening was Punk and Cena, who were facing off each other with Del Rio at Hell in a Cell versus Miz and R-Truth, who have just lost to the tag team champions at Night of Champions. Now, this was by far the best match of the night, just because it got time. Even though it wasn't great, it was still decent.
It did. You do expect good stuff from Miz and R-Truth because they formed a great tag team, and they're good at their ring skills and their mic skills. I think they did good in this match.
They're two people that I watch Raw for, Miz and R-Truth now. I mean, the problem with this match, even though it was a good match, I don't like the way how the heels were abiding the rules, as heels are supposed to break the rules in tag team matches. They're not supposed to abide the rules. And we saw this shit at Night of Champions, didn't we, where Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston broke the rules. And it was just like, whatever. But I guess the match was good. It worked quite well. They dominated Cena, and Punk come in and cleaned house and made him look strong going into the pay-per-view rather than John Cena, who always looks strong.
That's true. And again, I enjoyed this match for what it was. Yeah. It gave us the heels looking strong, so I can't fault that.
It had the heels looking strong in it, and then you had the baby faces win to look strong. So it made the heels look strong, but also the baby faces as well. So it's just a shame this had to come after such a shit Raw. Do you know what I mean?
Very true, yeah.
It was the main event of a proper fucking shit Raw, which really didn't help us getting into the match. But we also got, as our actual main event, let's not forget, Triple H comes out and fires Miz and R-Truth. And it's, wow, really? Firing Miz and R-Truth?
Yeah, the way he did it, he just appears on the ramp and goes, Miz and R-Truth, you're fired.
You're fired.
And then just walks off.
Yeah, and then we get the whole backstage segment, don't we?
Yeah, that got a bit crazy. Like, trying to attack Triple H, trying to say, why you're firing this bullshit. And all the WWE wrestlers just watching it happen, and
then they just squat him out of the building. Why?
yes,
What the fuck?
but again, it's left just one a bit of a bad taste thinking
Yeah.
we had 3 fires within a month.
Something like that.
Kevin Nash and now these 2.
Yeah.
And now I just get you thinking, what's this all leading to? Yes, there's many ideas playing around our head, but obviously from this Raw, it's left just thinking, what the heck?
I know. I mean, and it comes. There is a difference between telling a complex story, and there's a difference between telling a story which isn't going to be, which we just don't understand. And I think this is where they're going with it. I think that this is all set up. This must be all set up for Survivor Series.
Yeah, it would make perfect sense because they've got to start building it up. I know you Hen Cells first, but that's not a paper they really care about. It's the next one. I think starting to build it now, I guess it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, this Raw sucked. I just hated it. We'll go more into that on our overall thoughts, but we'll just say Raw was probably the worst show of the week. It just lacked entertainment, really, didn't it? It was very boring, and you really couldn't get into it because of that.
And all I'll say is that when we watch Raw, we do expect a lot from Raw because of it being the strongest show out of the 2, but it just really didn't live up this week, and it was a follow-on from United Champions, and it didn't really follow it on as the best it could have done.
No? So should we go on to TNA then? See if they can give us anything different?
Yeah.
So NJ, going in chronological order, I guess like I mentioned in the last segment, it's time to do TNA. So we opened up with Sting this week. Because, it's going to be Sting and Hogan at Bound for Glory, so that has to open every show now.
Yeah, Sting really, really let on. He's done what he needed to. He's took up Flair.
Yeah.
Now he's going to get his hands on the Hulkster.
Yeah, he basically comes out of a contract and calls out Hogan. Hogan says he's not medically cleared to wrestle because he's holding onto his back and shit. And, you just look at this and you think to yourself, man, TNA, it's almost like this is TNA's biggest draw. When really they should really be putting the focus on Rude and Angle.
Although the way they were doing it was making you feel that Hogan needs to be in the main event whenever he wrestles, and Sting wants to be the person to go in the main event with him. And it kind of, as you did say, it kind of takes the feeling away from the whole build of this whole Angle and Bobby Roode.
Yeah. Bischoff interferes and Sting hits him. Okay, and Sting is going on the day, and the match will happen, brother. The match will happen. It's like it was a short opening segment, I guess. It got the point across that Sting wants his match and Hogan is kind of in this transitional stage of not wanting to wrestle. So I guess if you look at it in that way, it was effective. But to me, it just wasn't very good. Sorry.
No, I think this really wasn't the opener for the show. It was open for the next pay-per-view. So I think maybe we should have someone else open it just that actually meant something to this show. Like open it with a Kurt Angle or something. But again, for the segment, I guess it was alright.
It was alright. I mean, there's not really much else to say about it.
No.
The next match we got was a Queen's qualifying match because, as we know, there's going to be a fatal four-way at the pay-per-view. 3 qualifying matches. This is the second of which Velvet Sky won the first one between Brooke Teschmacher and Mickie James. NJ, I'll go and play a little game. Guess who won the match?
This match is kind of a hard answer because you don't really expect either one of these two to win the match.
No.
So I'm going to say Brooke.
Oh, Brooke, because she's by far the better wrestler than Mickie James. Of course, Mickie James won. What are we even saying? We knew Mickie James was going to win. The match was short. I expected it to be short because, let's face it, Mickie James should be beating someone like Brooke Teschmacher very simply. So I guess if you look at it in that way, it does make sense for her to beat her in that short of a match. Although I would like to have seen Brooke put up a bit more of a fight than she did, even though she did kind of put up a fight. Maybe give it a little bit more time, especially if this is your sort of qualifying match for the pay-per-view.
I'm thinking more time for this because I'm a fan of knockout matches, so for knockout matches to get a bit more length than 3 minutes would have been good to see. But then again, we've got our next person who's going into the Queen's match.
Yes, so it's going to be Winter versus Mickie James versus Velvet Sky versus question mark. We don't know. Hopefully it'll be Tara because they'll have 3 very good wrestlers in there then, so that Velvet Sky can win the belt at Bound for Glory and do it believably. Yay! Then we have an X Division title match. Jesse Sorensen versus Austin Aries. Jesse Sorensen got his #1 contendership at the pay-per-view, and Austin Aries won the title at the pay-per-view. But they don't show Jesse Sorensen's entrance because they're too busy working with backstage segments.
That's the point. They had Jesse Sorensen already in the ring doing his thing, and Austin Aries comes down with an introduction. It seems like they're like, Austin Aries is our champion. We have to give him what he wants.
Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't
and
it?
Jesse nothing.
Yeah. But the thing that annoys me is the fact that you just Jesse Sorensen. If you want, this is a new guy to buy into his character. His entrance is the first thing we see. We need to see that if we're going to buy into his character, and if his character is going to evolve and grow on us as people. Do you know what I mean? As people watching the product. That's the thing I don't like about this.
And that's true. And for it to be a championship match, it has importance.
Yeah.
The thing that affected the importance of this match was Kid Cash.
Yeah, and you saw this Kid Cash come out, and then all of a sudden it's become more about Kid Cash and Jesse Sorensen than the X Division champion Austin Aries, who's the guy who should be getting the attention. Why not just let these two have a match, end it, and then develop this feud even more? I don't mind them using this to develop the feud, but could they not do it another week? I assume this match isn't going to be at the pay-per-view.
No, and I'm thinking now that we've had Kid Cash get involved, I guess they could continue with Kid Cash and Joey Sorensen while Austin Aries goes on and faces future opponents.
Yeah, so I mean, it was decent X Division action. It didn't get very much time. That was another issue that I had with this segment. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't. It was just some of the outside experience wasn't needed. It just overbooked. It was just Russo booking again, wasn't it?
It was a bit too much of that.
Yes.
Too much.
We then had a random TV appearance by Ink Inc., a tag team which we haven't seen on TV for a matter of months, attacking Mexican America, and they had this really sort of corny fight in the tattoo parlor. I didn't mind the fight, but it went on for way too long, in my opinion. Just way too long. This backstage segment was the theme of the night. Backstage segment's going on for way too long.
Again, they had Mexican American appear earlier in the night, appeared again in another long segment. I'm thinking that they're really concentrating on this whole Mexican American inking.
Yeah.
Yes, they're trying to build it for them,
It's a pay-per-view.
but they really didn't need it to be this length.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go with this match at a pay-per-view. From what we've seen here, it looks like it's going to be Ink Inc. versus Mexican America in some kind of feud. All I'll say about this is, if it was going to be this long, could you not have done this segment in the ring? Like, had an in-ring segment with these guys rather than a backstage segment. And Ink coming back like this, it's just, they haven't been on TV that much. And if they're going to go after the title of Bound for Glory, the biggest pay-per-view of the year, these guys need to be on TV every fucking week. And they're just not. They haven't been on TV for like 3 months.
No, but all I can say now is that the way these two tag teams went at it, I'm kind of looking forward to them working on it, building it more.
So am I, yeah. I am too. We then have throughout the night, we got Jeff Hardy segments, didn't we? When basically talking to guys like Matt Morgan and Al Snow, acknowledging his problems and stuff, making him sort of... I kind of think it's good how TNA are sort of making him work from the bottom to the top. They're making him accept his problems and actually showcasing this, because I think a lot of people can relate to it, if you know what I mean. Sort of making mistakes and now trying to make up for those mistakes.
And a lot of people, as we've seen, apart from some, were like really supporting him, saying, yes, you've done bad, but you're here to try and put things right. Good luck with that. But there's also the people that he went to go and see that really, really didn't like him, don't want him there.
Kurt Angle didn't want him there because he knows he's a threat to his title.
Which eventually I'm thinking Jeff will get back in the title picture.
He will. It's basically TNA's version of making a babyface work from the bottom to the top. No doubt he will get into the title picture soon. We then get a segment with Kurt Angle. Speaking of Kurt Angle, he invites Bobby Roode out, and then you get this whole interaction between Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode, which is needed for the pay-per-view. So that's why I like this segment. But the attention soon shifted from Roode to James Storm quite quickly, didn't it, in this segment? Oh.
It did. Like we said about that Bobby Roode is our new number one contender. Yeah. So I think for him now to have his in-ring time with Kurt Angle one way or another was needed. But for this whole Storm to get involved, I'm thinking Angle knew what he was doing, but it didn't work out for him.
I still feel that Bobby Roode needed a bit more mic time, and also I don't mind James Storm being there, but I really wouldn't mind. I really don't like him dominating the mic when he gets in there, even though it's set up for the match later on in the night, which is James Storm versus Kurt Angle, which I thought was a good main event. I just really don't like the way it shifted from Roode to James Storm very quickly when you really want Roode and Angle to be the concentration there, and you need Roode not giving mic time.
It does, and it finishes off with Bobby Roode and Lance Storm actually getting in Angle's face and just gets ready for their match later in the night.
Yeah, we then get a 2-on-1 handicap match, which was recorded last week. Bully Ray and Jerry Lynn versus Mr. Anderson. My God, why are Bully Ray and Jerry Lynn together all of a sudden?
It really didn't make much sense. I know it's two heels going against two faces, but again, Bully Ray and Jerry Lynn sort of getting paired up. I don't get it.
It seems like these two. It seems like the TNA are combining these two in tactic, even though Rob Van Dam didn't appear for it because he got attacked backstage. It seems like they're trying to sort of give us a tease as to what they're going to do at Bound for Glory. It's going to be Bully Ray versus Mr. Anderson and Jerry Lynn versus RPD, and we see on the website those two matches have been announced. So the match itself just wasn't very good, I didn't feel. You know, you've got 6 minutes. I wonder why Jerry Lynn is appearing on. I wonder why Jerry Lynn is in this thing, you know, full stop. I mean, you know, they had a great match at Destination X. It seems like TNA are just thinking, oh, well, let's take Destination X and transfer it to Bound for Glory, when really they need to be developing from that Destination X into Bound for Glory.
Well, this match basically was the build-up for Bully Ray and Miss Anderson, because Jerry Lynn was just there to cause the distraction at the end, which helped Bully Ray to use his steel chain to take out Anderson for the win. But again, this match just weren't as big as I was hoping for.
No, neither was I. One thing I will say, at least we saw some like vignettes before, like the two tag teams together, which was nice as we sort of saw them as tag teams, and that was a good thing, I thought. But the match itself really was. It got 6 minutes and it just really underwhelmed me. You know, and they're gonna have Jerry Lynn versus RBD and Mr. Anderson versus Bully Ray out Bound for Glory. So.
And the two matches, I'm more looking forward to Anderson versus Bully, because Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn they can put a good match, I think, to wait whether they can still move in the ring. But I don't really know.
It's so 1999. That's the problem. A bit like Sting versus Hulk Hogan. It's so 1997. But whatever, we're sticking to the 90s here, TNA. The next segment is the segment where we're supposed to get Christopher Daniels versus Bobby Roode as part of this whole Bobby Roode facing all members of Fortune. But he comes out and says that he's not wrestling Bobby Roode because he beat AJ Styles and he's his own man and he can do what he likes, which brings out AJ Styles.
Yeah, he did beat AJ Styles.
You're going to keep repeating that, NJ, because you're not going to be able to do it as much as Christopher Daniels did.
No, because I'm not going to beat AJ Styles.
Of course. And then you get the whole thing. You've gone from Christopher Daniels versus Bobby Roode to Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles having this like really long brawl, which intensifies their feud very well. Just that the impact goes when you put a fucking commercial right in the middle of it, and the whole segment itself seems so drawn out because of it. It
was true. Like, you go into the ring, you give AJ and Christopher Daniels mic time, which I liked, because obviously they need mic time if they're going to have this one more match happening again. But then there's obviously that dragged out attack afterwards, which had the commercial break, and it really made that segment longer than it should have been.
Oh yeah, and plus I think we got advertised a Daniels versus Bobby Roode match, and we got that instead. I guess they needed to hype it up, so I guess I can understand it there. Just I was quite looking forward to this match. That's all. So we then get Hogan. Hulk Hogan himself, the immortal Hulk Hogan, saying that he's going to drop a bombshell on the company that would change the business forever next week.
Yeah, with a bombshell exploding, there will be no arena or fans.
Good one. Yeah. In our main event of the evening, we get Kurt Angle versus James Storm, and you know this was. I enjoyed this match for a TNA main event. It got good time, and I actually really did enjoy this match a lot, and I enjoyed the way the match ended, even though I don't like the way it got there.
Yeah, the way they did it, they put on a good fight. They had both James Storm, all up close, and Kurt Angle looking great against each other. Both had their own moves in the match. And then you're going to get involved, which I thought he was going to become maybe a base, but obviously he gets involved in this match and helps Angle win. So,
well, it didn't actually have a result, did it? It went to a fucking no contest, wasn't it? I can't remember. I don't know, because the bell never rang. There was a couple of ref bumps. You know, but at the end of the day, the way it finished was good. You didn't have James Storm beat Angle clean, which is the right thing to do. But then you ended up with Bobby Roode coming in, cleaning house, and then you had him and Angle staring off, and Bobby Roode holding up the title. And, you know, that was the effect that this segment was supposed to give. Bobby Roode holding that title, giving us a little hint that he could win the title against Kurt Angle.
Yeah, it's needed that now, because obviously they're trying to make Bobby Roode look like he's actually going to have a chance to get Kurt Angle and become our champion. So for him to have the title in his hand and have ring title Kurt Angle was definitely needed. And
before I end this, before we end this even, I just want to say a quick thing. Too many backstage segments this week, wasn't there? Backstage segments are really drawn out. And the show just did not flow this week, did it? Which really contributed to us giving it a bad grade. And also, bad advert placement really didn't help this show either, did it?
Yeah, it's one of our bad points we have with TNA that their mastery don't get a good length, and backstage segments, we keep saying have needed ones, but they just had loads of filler ones. It was just pointless and horrible.
Yeah, so shall we move on to a show which has got no filler at all in SmackDown? So to start this off, Andrew, I think it's quite right that we should mention the fact that SmackDown attendances lately have been really low, and this really shows at the moment how appealing or non-appealing SmackDown actually is to the USA public at the moment, doesn't it?
Because at the minute, we all heard that SmackDown was starting to struggle, and without the fans being there and paying as much attention as they should, it does affect the show overall,
So we opened up this week with all the superstars, which kind of looked bigger than the crowd, all the superstars gathered around the ring, with John Laurinaitis in the ring talking about Triple H and his lack of control in the WWE. It's like, for fuck's sake, why is this guy even on TV? He sucks. To open the show with John Laurinaitis, fucking hell, that was ridiculous.
It was horrible because he spoke about Raw when we were on a SmackDown show. To start a SmackDown show to talk about Raw was just not good at all.
At least it was short. That's the only good thing I can think about this. It was short. He introduces Mark Henry as the World Heavyweight Champion. He comes out and says how everyone didn't believe because MJ, you didn't believe.
There was hope, but I didn't really believe it.
But he did it.
Well done, Mark Henry. So
yeah, we at the British Fist give our congratulations to Mark Henry, and we will say this: if you watch our Night Champions prediction video, we did believe. And then out comes Triple H, but he gets interrupted by Christian, like you just did.
That's exactly right. Because the thing is, we had Triple H about to congratulate Mark Henry for getting his first World Heavyweight Championship in 15 years, and Christian comes and goes to his old
one more match. Why does and Triple H grants him his match against Mark Henry in the main event later tonight, which is our main event made, but I just don't get why Christian gets his main event match and why Christian and Sheamus have just had a pay-per-view promo, and on this SmackDown they're not doing anything to promote it. It's like, wow, why are they making it heel versus heel in the main event? It's like, fucking hell. Really didn't want to see this main event.
No, but I guess when we get to it, I'll explain more about how good this match was, what benefit this match was.
And what bad points about it happened as well.
Let's
not forget good and bad of the weekend, Jay. We've a mixture of both here at the British Fist.
Yeah.
Mostly bad this week, though. In our first match of the evening, we get Heath Slater versus Sheamus.
The one man rock band, baby!
No reaction at all. Basically, this match was typical SmackDown filler match, which didn't have too much meaning to it, other than the fact that it continued to make Sheamus look strong, which I guess WWE need to keep reinforcing because I still feel they're going to build him to beat Mark Henry at some point in the future to become the World Heavyweight Champion.
I'm seeing that because I know Heath Slater is a little baby stepping stone for him, but again, Sheamus wins. The match went on a bit longer than I thought it would for a match so boring as this, but well done, Sheamus.
Yes, that's really all we can say about it, isn't it? Really, to be honest. It was just another filler SmackDown match. We then get another SmackDown filler match, even though I guess it did have some sense. Wade Barrett versus Justin Gabriel. Now, these guys have a lot of history. And one thing I was a bit disappointed with is the fact they didn't play on the history that they had in Nexus and the Core and the way they broke up from each faction.
It would have been sense if they gave Wade Barrett a mic to actually announce why he's doing this match now.
Justin Gabriel, blah, 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 blah. I want money.
Yeah. The whole thing like this match, you said one bad point. My bad point would be this match was shorter than Sheamus versus Heath Slater.
You know, the thing is, right, Wade Barrett wins, which we like at the British Fist because we like Wade Barrett. Now, if Wade Barrett winning, I just have the feeling, though, that this is just a filler. This has just been done to fill time. Nothing's going to come of this. There's going to be no rivalry. So Wade Barrett winning, I guess, is the right thing to do because he is the stronger of the two. Even though I really wouldn't mind WWE promoting Justin Gabriel because they've just brought him back as this new babyface.
That's very true. The ending of the match, it wasn't anything spectacular. You was expecting more from Justin Gabriel before Wade Barrett finished with the wasteland, but we just don't get it, which was a disappointment at the end of the match.
2.5 minutes for a segment. That's fucking stupid, isn't it? Not enough time at all.
No, not really. I was expecting more from a match that's got a future main event for SmackDown Wade Barrett. and Justin Gabriel to be a future Intercontinental
Yeah,
champion.
mid-card guy.
Yeah.
We also we got a Hell in a Cell package after this, didn't we? Basically showing all the previous Hell in a Cell matches, which means that it's basically showing us exactly what we're not going to get at the pay-per-view, because we're not going to get anything like we saw in that video package.
So I don't know, it's going to be hard for the WWE to actually go back to how Hell in a Cell used to be now, because they've got a whole freaking pay-per-view about it. And most of those matches we saw on that video package were just when there were normal matches. You know? Sadly, they moved on from that.
I guess it is to hype for the pay-per-view, which is good, as it's only 2 fucking weeks away, and they need to hype for this pay-per-view. And we got no matches announced tonight either, so woo there, WWE. You really need to announce the matches straight away and get us rolling, but whatever. Beth Phoenix and Natalya versus AJ and Caitlyn. Where have we seen this match before? Last week on SmackDown.
And basically, Beth Phoenix just dominates AJ for the win.
And it lasts 2 minutes. You know, it's another squash job. Again, like it did with Sheamus and Heath Slater, it was a bit of a filler match. But again, it did its job of making Beth Phoenix look strong. So I guess in that sense, it is good. But at the same time, there's no storyline development there.
And the other bad point, it's too long to make Beth Phoenix look strong, because you made her lose 2 big matches. At SummerSlam was a huge pay-per-view.
Yes.
United Champions was a second champ.
And Raw. And Raw.
So, to be honest, if she wins this match, go her, but
yeah,
she's lost her main matches.
Effective, but also at the same time ineffective, if you understand our drift here. The next match we got, another match we've seen now 3 times on SmackDown and Raw. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. Why do they keep revisiting this match? I understand that at least they're ending them unclean. Okay, but can you not vary some of your matches a little bit more and allow Cody Rhodes to sort of, you know, dominate a segment as a champion, so we can actually buy into his title reign, even though they have been booking him quite well?
Again, I guess they're giving the future viewage of what Cody Rhodes could be in the future. But at the minute, he's a mid-card champ, so going against someone as high as a World Heavyweight champ was just a bit too much for Cody. He should be against other mid-carders to give him more of the build as a strong Intercontinental champion.
Yes, and Rhodes wins by DQ in about 3 minutes. And then all of a sudden, this segment becomes more about promoting the fact that Orton has got anger. And then he goes about, and we didn't see this on TV, but he pretty much buried Cody Rhodes. He RKO'd him through the announcer's table twice, but we didn't see it because of all the blood. I wanted to see the fucking blood, but we didn't see it on the TV show.
Sadly, with this whole PG thing, they are being really careful, but at the same time, I wouldn't really want to see it, basically because they're burying Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes is meant to be helping the IC division.
Yes, so it's just all about Randy Orton, basically, this segment, wasn't it?
Yeah, now, while on the line of burying, we
God.
had another match, which, again, we didn't really care about, and we didn't really want to see. The Great Khali, I wouldn't call him great, but against Jinder Mahal.
Khali is a face. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. He basically squashes Jinder Mahal, and during this segment, me and Edge sort of looked at each other, and we were like, wow, who gives a shit? You should really have used this time to make some of your other segments longer.
And the whole thing is that it's hard to tell, is this rival or whatever they're having against each other, is it more about Khali getting pushed back to being a good guy and back into a good state, or is it about Mahal?
It's not about Mahal. You can tell that WWE lost a lot of confidence with Mahal just by the way they've just had him squashed in 2 minutes. But whatever.
I don't really care about it.
No, neither do I, so should we move on?
We'll go to the next match.
God. Sin Cara versus Daniel Bryan. A match which, again, we've seen about 3 fucking times now. And for the, and again, we see from this match, Daniel Bryan, the Money in the Bank winner, is filler for a Sin Cara versus Sin Cara feud. And, when you've seen this match before, I guess they needed to do something different, and they did. And the way they did the finish, I thought was very good. It's just 3 minutes. Again, short segments. We got them all throughout the night. No segment got, apart from the main event, maybe got above 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah, the good thing about this match, I can say, is that they are trying to get this whole Sin Cara versus Sin Cara thing built up in a different way than what we normally see.
The finish was rather unique in the fact that Sin Cara's going to the top rope. The heel Sin Cara interferes and then wins the match as Sin Cara because the referee's not going to notice the difference. So in that sense, I would say WWE used the whole identical thing well there. I like the finish. It's just that the match got 3 minutes and it's like, it's furthering storyline to some extent. But my problem is Sin Cara versus Sin Cara going to be a pay-per-view anytime soon? And is Daniel Bryan actually going to be able to look strong as Money in the Bank winner anytime fucking soon?
Well, the way I see this quickly is the door's been left open for one of the two Sin Caras to still have a rivalry or a match against Daniel Bryan. So possibly if Sin Cara would go down that route.
Yep.
But the point you made about is Daniel Bryan going to look strong?
Nah.
Well, at the moment, there's no hint that he's actually going to start to get better, so I would say no.
Yeah, so on that note, I think we should move on to the next match.
The next match.
A match which I was personally looking forward to. Was you looking forward to this match?
Being a tag match and Airboom match doing a lot better now they're in a tag team than they did individually,
Yep.
yes.
Airboom versus Usos, a match which we was all looking forward to see. But again, the match got 3.5 minutes, and I really wanted to see this go on for at least 5 minutes. And again, you just look at this and you think, my God, this is just another filler match that SmackDown typically puts out because it can't really enhance any storylines on their show.
No, and I'm really confused about what their plans for Airboom are now.
Yes.
So they just dropped them into any match just to give them something to do, which I guess made Airboom look strong if they win.
I don't think the match was not as good as I expected, but that's probably because it only gets 3.5 freaking minutes. It's just like, wow, why you really want to give that match that little time?
Well, most of the matches got awful timing, but the next one actually got reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the night we just had. You could have taken a lot of those segments out and made other more prominent segments longer. But we'll go on to the main event now.
Here we go.
Christian versus Mark Henry in a lumberjack match for the World Heavyweight Championship because Christian gets us one more match. You know, at the end of the day, Christian really wasn't ever going to win, and this whole segment was done to try and further this rivalry between Sheamus and Christian to some extent, and make Mark Henry look strong going into the pay-per-view. So in that sense, it achieved it. It just wasn't. It went on for 6 minutes and just wasn't a very good match. It just really didn't.
No, again, it's hard to say that Christian and Mark Henry could put on a good match because of their different abilities in the ring. But I think it's basically Mark Henry's dominance because he dominates Christian, he dominates the lumberjacks, and he manages to defeat Christian as Sheamus throws Christian back in the ring.
Yay, hooray for the gingers.
So they are continuing with this whole Christian and Sheamus problem they have with each other. So I guess that was good.
Which is needed because Sheamus and Christian need that rivalry, in my opinion, both of them. After the match, after Mark Henry wins, Orton comes into the ring and drop kicks Mark Henry to the outside. You know, I was usually moaning about this, but after all the dominance that Mark Henry has shown, I think that's the problem I have with just after Mark Henry has won the title, just when you want him to start making him look strong, continually looking strong, you have Orton come in and sort of not making him look strong. But I guess it wasn't neat.
The way with Orton actually getting his the upper hand over Mark Henry, it didn't make Mark Henry look weak. So he actually got out the ring and stood tall again.
Yep.
And they had that kind of brief stare down before it finishes. So I guess they're still going to say, right, there's a match going at Night of Champions at Hell in a Cell, so let's go for it.
Yeah. Overall thoughts then, MJ? Should we go on to that now?
Yeah, we're going to overall thoughts.
Okay, so this week MJ really summed up was not very good, was it? It's got to the point now where I can't remember the last time I gave a show a B or anything higher than a C. And none of the shows this week were really that good.
And the hurtful thing is, which I keep saying at the end of every pay-per-view, is the Raw and SmackDown after pay-per-view should be so-called follow-on events.
Yeah.
And they did try and make it follow-on, but again, they didn't do it right with some of the rivalries.
Yeah. I mean, let's just go through each show. Raw was immensely boring. TNA had its good and bad points, but still really failed to flow as a show. And SmackDown was just full of filler matches and stuff, which really didn't contribute to any storylines at all, especially when you have a pay-per-view only 2 weeks away. And with TNA, they've got their biggest pay-per-view coming up, and it's like, this is the momentum you're going to give us to these pay-per-views. Wow, you know, did not work this week, did it? One of probably the worst weeks for a while we've had now.
I really couldn't get into this week. I was trying for the good, but obviously the good is... The bad overpowers the good.
Definitely. And, you know, you get to the point where we can't pick a favourite show this week because SmackDown was bad, TNA was bad, Raw was worse. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, we got ROH on Saturday. I don't know. It just really was a bad week. And I can't say much good about this week. It just really wasn't very good. And it's really bad when, as a wrestling fan, when you say this because you really want to get behind your product, but it's not really giving you the reason to.
And a good thing I want to say now is that you've heard the good and the bad and the ugly from the British Fist.
Yes.
Now, please, please, please share your thoughts on all three shows in the comment section below. And that's been it from Mr. Parkin,
Yes!
and me, NJ. Goodbye.